let me back up from the poem for a little bit and explain some terminology to you. I'm going to talk about foul papers, draft, and then fair copy and published copy. All right, you go home today and you're inspired by the class on Lincoln to write a poem about Lincoln. So you may be doing it now. You may be looking around, what am I going to do? Sylvia Plath wrote on grocery bags, right? So you grab a grocery bag, thoughts, and you gather it together. Then you go home and you have a receipt in your pocket and grocery tickets and the child's baby bottle you wrote with a Sharpie on the back, all these notes, right? That's foul papers. That's what they're called. So poets kind of right here, there, everywhere, especially before computers. And you gather them all together and you come up with a draft. A draft is what we see on this page. We also see on the bottom of that draft revisions Yeats wanted to put in, and he has arrows going every which way. Well, Yeats had a series of drafts in connection with Leda and the Swan. So let's say our first series of drafts was in 1923, the fall of 1923. What was Yeats doing in the fall of 1923? Well, it had been a while since he had focused on poetry. That summer was a difficult one for him. He got into a fight with his good friend Lady Gregory about politics. There was an Irish Civil War. Well, it just ended. He is being asked to serve as a senator in what was called the Free State Senate. He had agreed, but really it would take him away from his poetry. He was having a fight with his sisters about money. And he was having an interesting time in his marriage. That's for another lecture. He was concerned that he and his wife would give birth to the Antichrist this summer. And which explains another Yeats poem, A Prayer for My Daughter. And so people say, well, prayer for it's very patronizing, isn't it? Well, if you look at the fear behind Yeats, is, oh, we conceived her at the wrong time. I succumbed to temptation. And so he says, may she be like the linnet bee and have no business but dispensing round magnanimities of sound. This is another poem. But that poem read in that context explains why he wants her to be rooted in one place and doesn't want her to be this confident, outgoing one, because he was fearful that she would inspire, and like Helen, inspire a war. So anyway, he was having a difficult time. So he retreated. He went on a retreat to the west of Ireland. And he wrote this poem, and he said it was a political poem at first. All right, fair enough. I have an idea about how he introduces that theme later, but we'll talk about that later. So the first group of drafts, we'll call them from 1923. In 1924, he published the poem in 3 places. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Then, in 24 to 25, he took the poem back and tried to rework it and tried to rewrite it again. And then in 25, 26, he wound up publishing a different version. The version you have in front of us, we have in front of us today.